There we go. Okay, so everyone should have a notification that it's recording now. All right, thank you. Okay, so thank you for coming tonight for our presentation, our information session about the Acting for Climate Together program. Before I go any further, I do want to acknowledge that we are hosting this meeting from the traditional territory of the Coast Salish people, whose land we're very fortunate to work on. So once again, thank you for coming tonight. My name is Taylor Nielsen, and I'm the Climate Action Outreach Coordinator at the Regional District of Nanaimo. And with me here tonight is Dave Stewart, who's an environmental planner with the City of Nanaimo. And tonight we're going to be discussing the Acting for Climate Together volunteer initiative. And this is our second year running the program. And based on feedback from last year's participants, we've made some changes that we want to share with everybody tonight. And last year was really successful in fostering connections among groups as they ended up completing some really great and impactful projects. And we actually have two participants here tonight from last year who are going to share their experiences with you later in the meeting. And this year, we're hoping to ramp up this initiative and get even more people to join and more groups and more projects completed, and hopefully get a large spread of people across the Regional District of Nanaimo, including the city and Qualicum, Parksville, and Lentzville, of course. Tonight we have about 15 slides that we're going to go over. So the presentation should take about 15-20 minutes. And then at the end, we will have our two participants from last year speak a little bit. And then we will have a question and answer period if you have any questions about the program. Okay, so I'm just going to move on. Okay, so for tonight, our agenda, I'm just going to do a quick introduction about the Acting for Climate Together program. We're going to talk about who can join, what the program is, and why you should join. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what's new in 2024 and go over an overview of the categories that are within our toolkit and different projects that you can complete. And then at the very end, we'll go over some important dates to keep in mind and have our question and answer period. So the Acting for Climate Together program, it's a community-based initiative where we're encouraging community groups and individuals this year to develop projects or take smaller actions that help reduce your carbon footprint, build community resilience, and contribute to the overall well-being of the community. And the intention behind this initiative is to be very project and action focused and to encourage others, like your neighbors, your other community members, to join in local climate action. And this program was created last year by the Regional District of Nanaimo and the City of Nanaimo as a partnership. And we're hoping to continue it this year and beyond. There we go. So first, who can join the program is basically anyone. Like I said, last year we were more group or team based, but this year we are allowing individuals to join, even though we will connect you with like-minded groups. And especially one big benefit of this program is being able to bounce ideas off of each other and learn from each other. So basically anyone can join, but it's recommended for individuals or groups such as neighborhood associations, environmental groups, community clubs, faith groups, sports teams, students, nonprofits, you name it, everybody's included. And what participants will do is after you sign up for the program, you will either develop your own unique community-based projects, or you can use our toolkit to complete some of the actions that we have recommended in there. But as I kind of mentioned before, we're kind of really trying to move to more of a project-based focus this year. So, and instead of taking the things that we have listed, we want everybody to be able to contribute their own ideas and come up with your own unique projects. So whatever interests you, and it's climate action focused, that's a project that we would consider for funding or as part of the program. And I'm sorry if you hear my dog playing with the toy in the background. I can't make him stop mid-presentation right now, but he's being kind of loud. So the actions in the toolkit that we have listed, they were designed to support climate action and environmental protection. But yeah, this year we want you to come up with your own unique projects, like I said, based on your interest. And later in the presentation, we're going to go over some project examples that were completed last year and talk a little bit about other projects that would be included in the funding that we have available. So the steps to get involved, the first thing you want to do is sign up for the program using the registration form on our Get Involved site. Step number 2, attend the kickoff meeting. You're at that right now, and you can obviously flip those steps. You can always register for the program after. And then step number 3 is to choose which actions or projects you'd like to complete. And then step 4 is to complete those actions. You have all year long to do that. And then step 5 is to celebrate your successes with other participants and the community. And I'm just gonna mention the date there, but we'll save that for the end of the meeting. Okay, so why join? There's lots of different benefits from joining, which are listed here on the screen, but besides that, there's many reasons to join a program like this, which is like reducing the impacts of climate change, building community resiliency, taking collective action, and of course, co-benefits. But one of the biggest benefits that we found with this initiative is being able to connect with like-minded individuals and other groups who either want to do similar projects or who have done projects in the past, and you can kind of learn what they did and then take what they've done, use it as a template to create your own projects of what they've done and been successful with. And being government staff, we typically work behind the scenes and put out our programs and services. So it's really rewarding for us to get to meet community members on the ground and work with you for an initiative like this. We really enjoy helping you complete your community projects in any ways we can and hearing about your different interests and what inspires you. Instead of us rolling out programs, we want you to be involved in this and let us know what interests you. What do you want to do? And then hopefully we can help you complete your projects. This year, we want to keep the momentum going from last year. And although I already mentioned that this initiative is supposed to be really project and action based, even if your projects don't get completed this year and you're kind of just building the steps to like create your projects for future years, we still want you to be a part of the program. And like I said, even if projects don't get completed this year, we still just want to build off this year and then go into the future years and carry this initiative on for the future and build relationships for the future. So to help you through the program, we have a couple of different supports and incentives, such as our climate action focused meetings and check-ins. So, and then we have a volunteer toolkit and brochure, and the toolkit kind of lays out what the program is, and then it has those different actions that we recommend you doing if you can't come up with your own projects. And then we also have a project website available, which is the Get Involved page. And we also have our own like RDN and city page, but the main project page is the Get Involved page. And the intention of that page is to, in the future, we want to grow what that page is and make it more of a hub for people to connect. But right now we just have a registration form on there, and we'll be posting kind of any key dates or news to do with the program. And then, yeah, we're going to make that page more interactive hub in the future. And then the last thing we have available for supports and incentives is our funding this year. So we each have our own funding available. They have different criteria, which we'll cover in the next slide here or in a couple slides. But yeah, the city has their own funding, and then the RDN has their own funding, and they each have their own requirements and who can apply and what projects apply for the funding. And then we're also going to have some sustainable focus prizes at our different in-person meetings. So at our upcoming kickoff meeting in March, we'll have some like fun door prizes available and things like that throughout the year at our meetings. And I'm just going to pass it off to Dave now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Taylor. Taylor took the bulk of the slides, so I really want to thank her for that wonderful introduction to what Acting for Climate is all about. And yeah, like she said, this is really, it's your program. It's something we've created to sort of encourage and facilitate and connect different community groups that are already doing some pretty fantastic work in the region. And that's what I wanted to talk about. This is the second year that we've run the program, as Taylor mentioned. The first year, it kind of morphed in a little bit in a really good way. It started, we were really more point focused. It was to complete certain actions that had different points, and you get a certificate or you get a badge or an award. We heard pretty quickly, and we have a couple past participants here who I think will say the same thing, that wasn't a ton of motivation. We also noticed that the people that are participating already have really good ideas on how to make, a better ecosystem, a better climate in Nanaimo, and had some fantastic actions that they came up with on their own, but maybe needed to make those connections either with each other or with us at the city. Like Taylor said, we kind of work in an envelope sometimes in government. So this is one up for us to sort of lift that veil a little bit, and you see what's going on, and for us to connect with you. So that's what really we like about this program and want to encourage more of. So we changed that point system to just the toolkit that Taylor mentioned to just have some ideas in it. We did provide, based on some research and science that we found, some impact ratings, but they're there just for your information. There's nothing beside that. There's not much else to it. So we've updated that toolkit. The other big piece, and we are looking this year on really focusing and fostering those connections through networking in person and online events, and occasionally bringing in some experts as well based on who you want to hear about. But the big piece, I think the other thing we heard, as Taylor mentioned, was funding. So we had prizes last year. We didn't really have a lot of funding. So I'm going to bring Taylor back in a second, but because we have two different branches of funding, and this is unfortunately just because we have two different local governments and how it worked out. But in the City of Nanaimo, we just launched actually this Monday, the City of Nanaimo Environmental Sustainability Project Grant. A bit of a mouthful, but there's up to $5,000 available per project, $20,000 total. And that project, that's open right from, as of right now, all the way to April 2nd. Anybody who participates in the Acting for Climate Together program would be eligible to apply for that, as well as any other recognized neighborhood groups or recognized nonprofits are also eligible. So it's not just for ACT, which may be a little bit different than what Taylor's going to talk about, but it is, there's definitely funding available, and it is based on a merit base. So you're not guaranteed to get that funding. It'll go through a staff review committee and then ultimately up to council to decide who would get that. But we've got some really awesome projects that are just starting up from last year's funding right now. And yeah, so that's, sorry, I should say, like in terms of what type of projects. So that's intended for small scale creative environmental projects. And we can go over some examples in the next few slides on what that is. We also have our watershed restoration grant that just launched as well in the same time period. And that's more specific to watersheds. Taylor, do you want to talk a little bit about the seed funding before you advance the slide here?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this year we started our climate action seed funding, and it's kind of based off of the same model as the drinking water and watershed protection stewardship seed funding. So we call it seed funding because it's not specifically a grant where you apply and you get the money and then you get to use that money. Ours is more of a reimbursement system. So you still have to apply, and we call it a pre-approval application. So you get to submit your project to us and let us know what you're going to be spending this money on. And then it's a reimbursement. So you do have to pay for the costs up front, and then we'll reimburse you once you submit your receipts and fill out a claim form to us. And we're doing up to $1,000 per project this year. And we have a total of $5,000 in total. So just depending on how many groups apply and how much they apply for, we are probably going to fund anywhere from 5 to 10 projects. If people apply for less than $1,000, then we can fund more projects, but it just depends on who applies. And our seed funding is going to open on March 1st, and it is going to be open until September 30th. So you have all summer to apply. But that being said, it is also first come, first served, and based on the merit of your project. So if you are thinking of applying to our funding, we do encourage you to apply as soon as possible so that the funding doesn't run out by the time you do apply if it's later in the year. And one unique thing about our funding is the requirements are listed on our website, by the way, but I do want to point this out. It has to be a project that is either located in an electoral area, or it has to clearly demonstrate how your project, if it's not located in an electoral area, how your project either benefits or has a direct impact or a connection with an electoral area. And that's just dependent, or that's because we have our funding coming from a certain source that is funding for electoral areas. So that's the way our seed funding has to go. We have to benefit those electoral areas rather than it being in a municipality. We are looking to hopefully expand in the coming years, but this first year, this is the way the funding is going to work. And we are going to send out the recording of this presentation tomorrow. And tomorrow, when we send out the recording, we'll also include the different websites for these two fundings so that you can see exactly what the qualification and requirements are for each of the respective funding sources. And if you have any questions at the end of the meeting, let me know and I'll be happy to answer. Okay, so Dave, I'm going to move forward now.
Yeah, I just want to further clarify that. And I did see there's one question in the chat regarding what an electoral area is. So just I responded to it. But yeah, so just to clarify, so the City of Nanaimo Community Environmental Sustainability Project grant funding, that would be for projects based in the City of Nanaimo only as well. If your project's outside of the City of Nanaimo and not in Parksville, Qualicum, or Lanceville, then you would be eligible for the RDN Climate Action Seed funding. Correct me if I got that wrong.
No, that's correct. Yeah, and that's exactly it. Like throughout the RDN, there's the RDNs, spread across all the way from Bowser all the way down to Cedar, and then within the RDN, it's kind of a Swiss cheese thing. Like there's pocket municipalities, so there's Parksville, Qualicum, Lanceville, and City of Nanaimo, which are the municipalities, and then all the areas between those municipalities is the electoral areas. So, okay, we'll move on now.
Move on to the categories. So I mentioned in my earlier that we kind of moved a little bit past the category-based system here, where previously we spent a lot of time on our last presentation talking about categories and what those are all about. They are still available in the toolkit that Taylor mentioned. And we did want to talk a little bit about them because they give you an idea of the different areas that we can all have a positive and negative, depending on what we do, impact on our climate, on greenhouse gases and the natural environment. So we have the toolkit has some really good examples of projects that you and your team could do within those categories, but certainly that's an idea we want to be thinking. So just some of the, for example, in transportation, one idea is you could reduce transportation emissions by creating a Go by Bike team, or challenging your team to take transit. For food and waste, we saw some communities groups last year, host a meatless community meal. We had another one that did a vegetarian cookbook. If you're having events, one way to manage waste is make your events a zero waste event. In other words, have ways to compost or reuse the materials through your waste. For buildings, host a sustainable building tour. Again, something that we saw happen last year in your area, or organize a bulk heat pump purchase. For protecting nature, we've seen folks organize pollinator friendly garden tours. Or I'll talk about this later, but funding, and this is our mayor's favorite action, if anyone heard the Chile interview, but planting a tree, like the good old classic tree planting. And obviously there's still a ton of benefit to that. For climate knowledge, that's basically just sharing the information and getting the information out to folks about what they can do as individuals, where they can access information related to heat pumps, where they can access information related to transit or local food production, that sort of thing. And then we included a category, and this was a bit of a holdover from the point-based system, because a lot of these actions I just mentioned could probably be considered big actions, but this is largely for a bigger project. And like, for example, we'll talk about some of those actions actually in the next slide here. But like, we saw some major events getting organized last year and we awarded them the big action points. So maybe we'll go through, rather than belabor this too much more, I'll go through some examples and look at some pretty pictures of what folks did last year. So next slide. So yeah, these are just I put together a couple of pictures and photos of some of the projects that Acting for Climate Together teams did last year. So we had a participant from Qualicum Beach, one of the only participants outside the city, but also the only business that participated. The Double Infinity Doig House in Qualicum Beach. And for those that don't know, I'm just going to actually advance my slide here. Firstly, Dwight House is an off-grid Earthship and sustainability learning center. And they completed a ton of actions last year, including garden tours. I'll talk about some of their other actions in the next slide. They hosted some students that you see in the picture here and taught them about permaculture and food systems. The other really benefit that we really want to emphasize with Acting for Climate Together is just that shared knowledge. And they're a really good example. Actually, pretty much everyone on this slide is a really good example of groups that had a lot of knowledge that they shared with each other and learned from each other. And Dwight House, as a sustainability focused business, brought that knowledge to the table. We actually had 2 really new neighborhood associations, both with the word rock in their title. So the first one is the Rocky Point Neighborhood Association, and they shared vegan and vegetarian cookbooks. They also hosted what they called a fairy plant seed event, where they involved some kids and their children and sold plant, I think, local food seeds on the street, and just did little to promote local food production and native plants. They also recently received a grant for a tree planting project that they are planning on working on. So that was a community sustainability environmental grant. A couple different ACT teams actually did get funding last year for that. We also had, for those that don't know about the South End Ecological Development Group, or SEED, they're an incredibly active group in, the South End. Probably figured that out. And they participated in our program. Like the Dwight House, they shared a ton of experience with our group, completed a ton of action. So here you see they're cleaning up the Cat Stream, which is part of their area, did a litter pickup as well as environmental restoration. Those of you that, and then we see on the far right here, Joel and Melissa. For anybody who's participated in Go By Bike Week events, they probably recognize Joel there on the left. They've done a ton of fantastic work in our community, promoting bicycling as well as working as park ambassadors. So they were also provided a lot of experience in terms of that network with the group on their past community volunteer experience and how to sort of get involved and make a difference. So I got a couple more examples to run through. Next slide, maybe. And I see there may be some questions here, so we'll open it up for questions in a little bit, as well as hear from some past participants. So I mentioned a couple times that we had not 1, but 2 groups do Earth Day events, so that both the SEED and the Dwight House had separate Earth Day events that they submitted through the Acting for Climate Together program. We also had, and we're very lucky to have, the Nanaimo Climate Action, I said club there, I apologize if anyone's from there, it's Nanaimo Climate Action Hub. They launched a campaign to research and reduce the cost of heat pumps. For anybody that doesn't know, this in REN, we're huge fans of heat pumps. Both Taylor's group and mine spend a lot of time and a lot of money on promoting heat pumps, and that's because they can have a really positive impact, not only on reducing greenhouse gases from building and getting folks off fossil fuels and things like natural gas, which have a higher GHG impact, but they also provide cooling, so there's the climate resiliency aspect there as well, plus a few other benefits in terms of saving energy and saving money. And I know Shelley and I think James and Teresa are here. So from both the Nanaimo Old City Association and Rock City Neighborhood Association. So this is a really interesting example of a existing neighborhood group teaming up with a brand new neighborhood association. Lots of synergy developed with them and learning from each other. And the Nanaimo Old City Neighborhood Association did receive a small community environmental sustainability grant to launch, and they're just getting started with this, but an energy program where they're using thermal imaging cameras to help homeowners really identify where they're losing heat and start that conversation about energy efficiency in their building. This is not a picture from the program. This is just a stock image because they're just starting up right now. Next slide, we'll just go over some dates here. So the first date's probably pretty important. Registration is open now for the Acting for Climate Together program. I mentioned the City of Nanaimo Sustainability Grant application, and we actually saw some examples of last year's grants that went through. So that is open currently. It's open for quite a while, up until April 2nd. One of the reasons we kept it open for a bit of time was one, to allow participants, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong camera, so apologies, allow participants some time to get their applications in. The other one was because we have our kickoff event, which on March 23rd, coming up as well. We wanted to ensure that you had time to plan your project through that kickoff event, which we'll focus on before you put your grant in. You can also see the RDN. Taylor mentioned their seed, so their application period is even longer than ours, from March 1st. It's all the way to September 30th is their funding deadline. And as you mentioned, that's open for a long period because they can award it kind of as they go, but it would be somewhat first come, first served basis as well there. I did mention the kickoff event. So we do want to get together with you in person. As much as I love seeing your little heads on the computer screen, I don't know about the rest of you, but I get zoomed out sometimes, and we want to meet with folks in person. So that's going to be at Oliver Woods in the morning. There's the information is on the Get Involved page. But really the focus of that will be on how getting together and coming up with and planning your projects. So again, that's there on the 23rd to give you time to get your application in if you're in the city before the 2nd, to get some funding if you need it. But yeah, to get that, to connect with myself and Taylor as well as each other, to plan the projects and get some ideas together on project planning. We'll have some more reference and more information on that to follow. One of the things we did do last year that was actually I personally was a bit surprised in how well received it was, but we did have monthly check-in meetings. And like I said, that's what I think created that network, and people got to know each other through those check-in meetings. Generally, they were kind of roundtable meetings where we all checked in and everyone can kind of talk about what they're doing. We also did bring in occasionally some experts, and that's something we want to do a little bit more based on what you guys want to hear about. So if there is a topic, and apologies, Brenda, I see your message. I just haven't had a chance to read it yet. But if there's a topic that somebody wants to talk about more in detail, then bring that to the meeting, and we can see if we can bring someone in to support that if possible. And then we are looking at doing again, likely an in-person celebration event to sort of wrap up in October. What we did last year is we didn't meet a lot in the summer, and that was just because summers are so busy, but there may be opportunities to do something, maybe even in person in the summer. So will be largely up to the group. Like I said at the beginning, this is really your group. We're here to facilitate. So I think before we get to questions, we did mention we've got a couple people that they're not really put on the spot because I warned them, but some past participants that were part of the program. So unless there's any burning questions that can't wait, I was going to ask both Teresa Deering from the Rock City Neighborhood Association and Shelley Sherbin from NOCA to speak about their experiences. And Teresa, since I see your smiling face on my screen, do you want to start?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Teresa Deering, and yeah, as Dave says, I'm part of the Rock City Neighborhood Association, which did not exist this time last year. We had just a vague, we knew our direct neighbors and maybe their neighbors, and everyone had an idea of liked food security and wanted to get to know each other and was sharing plants anyways. So I believe I even heard about ACT in the newspaper and signed up and just claimed that my group was part of this thing. And then through there, I met wonderful people like Shelley at NOCA, who taught me about what it takes to start a neighborhood association. So James back there is our president, and we just finished our constitution and bylaws. Thanks also to looking at NOCA's stuff and meeting a few of the people through them. As well, meeting people in our neighborhood, like Dave, who's been invaluable to a lot of this. As well, Heather from the Climate Action Hub. We met through this group at the closing event last year. Yeah, I would agree with almost everything Dave and Taylor were saying earlier. The points didn't really matter, but having that nice little book of ideas was fun. We do monthly-ish potlucks as a group, and we made them vegetarian, partially so that we could get that initial 1 point to say that we got a vegetarian one under our belt. And it's just continued, and it makes sense to everybody. Yeah. And meeting Team Copenhagen's been amazing because they're everywhere. I feel like every single event I go to now, I can say hi to Joel and Melissa, and you get to hear about cool things going on in Nanaimo, like the Earth Day event at Seed. I don't know that I would have heard about that otherwise than through this group. Yeah, I could go on, and the cool thing that Shelly and James are going to do with the thermal imaging coming up, really exciting. So I hope everybody has a lot of fun, and it actually didn't feel like a huge time commitment, at least to me. Like when you say they were monthly meetings, they almost felt like less than that. And I think we only met in person maybe twice, but the impact was huge. Yeah. So thanks.
Thanks so much, Teresa. Yeah, thanks for that. And I'm glad you brought up the time commitment issue because I don't think Taylor and I touched on that much. And that's obviously important to all of us as we're all busy people. So, I mean, yeah, we did. And it's kind of something Taylor and I have come back and forth on as we developed the program last year, is how much we want to, ask out to participants, because you're all volunteers. You're all doing this, because you care. So we did, I think, look at monthly meetings being about an hour, but they're optional as well. Certainly, we want to see as many people participate as you can. If you can't make it, you can't make it, and we can connect other ways. But that's something we can, like I said, I think the way I see this is a network, and you guys and women leading us through the process. So that's absolutely something I want to see. So yeah. I think, Shelly, are you on? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you mind saying a few words?
Okay, I just want to be brief, but it was a great experience. I was feeling a little bit of eco-anxiety, and I thought I needed company and I needed to work with other people. And so connecting with the people, both staff, who were incredibly resourceful and helpful, and eager to listen to suggestions, and and great feedback, and saying, this is a great idea. Wow, that's really good. And so those supports were very much appreciated. And also, having prizes and things like that, even if they were somewhat small or large, they were extremely appreciated, and it just shows that you care about what we're doing as volunteers in the community. And I really did appreciate meeting some new people. It was great to see fresh faces rather than the same. Not to say that the same people that I've been working with before or seeing is not valuable, but it was really great to see new faces and that sort of thing. So it was exciting to meet Teresa and James, and work with them on how they wanted to start their neighborhood association. So if I could help with that, then that it just gives you a mental boost in doing something for someone else. So being active got me out of some of my eco-anxiety, and seeing that things were having an effect, and people, more and more people were becoming aware of actions. That one of the things I was doing was having a house tour of a passive solar house, and that would have at least monthly 4 to 8 people going through the house. And it was really, I got great reviews on it. People were really interested in what had happened there. And then I had an incredibly fortunate experience at the very end. There was an offering of a micro certificate at UBC, and I happened to be the the winner of that, and I just am very, very grateful for that. I learned a lot, made some connections with other UBC students, and also found out about a Strong BC Future Skill Grant that anybody who is a resident of BC is eligible to take on. It's up to $3,500 for a course, and those courses are on the website for Stronger BC Future Skill Grant. And you can select a program. It is for everyone. So anyone here can apply for that, and it's $3,500. And I would really encourage, if you want to do something like that at a, it's all both college and university level skills, and everything from action planning to, or climate action planning to GPS courses to, all kinds of different things. So if you want to be a student again, then it's great. And application for the first project grant, and that's this thermal imaging grant that we are trying to use for both NOCA community members, neighbors, and Rock City neighbors. And we're using that to entice, motivate, stimulate the discussion, as David said, about home renovations and reducing CFCs, not CFCs, carbon emissions and energy use in our homes in the communities. So that's all I have to say. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Shelley. And apologies, I'm on an older computer and it's occasionally giving me low bandwidth. So I'm sorry if I go in and out. That's also a warning to Taylor. So hopefully we'll be good. Yeah, thanks for that though, Shelley. Really appreciate that update and Teresa on your experiences. I did see 2 questions. One was a direct message. So Francis, I hope you don't mind me reading it out to the group, because I think there'll just be others interested in your question. And actually the other question that I see is related. It's both involved connections with staff and your project's approval. The one question that I think is in the public chat is related to eligible projects and permissions on city land. So in terms of the grants, that's actually a criteria of the grant, is that you would have permission. One advantage with ACT is, yes, you will have that FaceTime with Taylor and I. It doesn't mean you're going to automatically get permission. We are cogs in a machine, for lack of a better word. We're a terrible analogy, but we're not able to just give you permission to plant on a city right of way or a RDN park without talking to people. But what we can do is help you make those connections. And that's something that I think will be a huge advantage of folks participating in this program, is we can, whether it's through the project planning and letting you know those approval processes that you need to go through and talking to you, or whether it's just connecting with us informally and saying, look, I've really got this exciting idea for doing a water course restoration project, but it's in a city park. Who do I need to talk to? I work pretty closely with those staff. It's not always me, but we can connect you with those staff folks. And I think I certainly can say that for the city, and I think Taylor can certainly help you out with the regional district as normal as well. So, did I answer both questions on that one? I hope. Francis, you're muted here.
I said yes, certainly.
Perfect.
Shelley just shared with me, oh, she just said it to everyone too. Sorry. We just shared the Future Skills Grant link with everybody in the chat if you are interested in that grant program. And I also just want to bring back the question about projects on city land and with our funding. Technically, our funding could also be on city land or Qualicum the town of Qualicum or city of Parksville or district of Lanceville land. It just has to demonstrate a connection or a benefit to electoral areas. So same, like our funding also could be on municipal land, just has to also relate to electoral areas, and that would qualify for funding under our program. And yeah, just to echo what Dave said, like I can't give permission myself for doing projects on RDN land, but I can definitely help facilitate connections between different departments and figure out who we need to talk to get permission, whether it's on RDN land or another entity's land. We can try and figure that out together.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's something we can talk about through project planning, because it is something that we'll be looking for through at least the city grants is what work you've done in advance to get those kind of permissions and have those conversations. So hopefully help you put in a stronger grant application as well. I'm not seeing anything else in the chat. Are there any other questions? You can either just speak up or put in the chat, whatever you like.
Either unmute yourself directly or put up your hand and we'll call upon you, but feel free to do whatever is easiest. Not that big of a group, so. And you can always email us after, or email or call us after if you have any questions after the meeting as well. Just want to throw that out there. Sorry, but yes, Sally.
How do you go about getting the toolkit?
Oh, it's on our Get Involved page. So
Oh, okay.
tomorrow morning, I'm going to send out a email with all the different resources we talked about today, including the recording, the different funding websites. I'll also put the Get Involved page in that email tomorrow. But if you even tonight, if you wanted to Google like Get Involved, Regional District of Nanaimo, Acting for Climate Together, it should be one of the top things that come up. And the toolkit is on that website right now.
Thank
as
you.
a PDF download. Yeah, we do have physical copies as well that we can print out, but we encourage digital copies as much as possible. But I will send it out tomorrow morning if you don't have the time to look it up tonight. Okay, is there any other questions? And thanks, Davia. You put your.
Can we have your phone number, Taylor?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just say it out loud here. So it is, I'll actually put it in the chat as well, but it's 250-390-5422. And that's my direct line.
390-5422.
Yeah. Yes, and I'll be in the office tomorrow if you do want to give me a call. And I am off next week, but then I'll be back the week after that. So either tomorrow or the week after next week, I'll be available via phone.
I'm around as well. And my email and phone number are in the chat. And I did put the Get Involved page link in the chat there. So on that page, that's where you will register if you want to register for the program. The link is to the right. As well as the kickoff event for the 23rd. And then there is a document library just below. It's all on the right-hand side. So that page is pretty key, actually, and probably something we should have talked about a little bit to the program is that's where we'll ask folks, we'll share some resources, potential to highlight some projects in there as well, but any key dates and anything where we require registration will be on that. And kudos to Taylor and her team for maintaining that for us. So.
I just had a question. Just wondering if we have a project idea, how do we submit it to make sure that it's not something that's maybe happening that we're just not aware of?
Oh, you can either send me an email or a phone call. And sorry, I didn't put my email in this chat yet, but that'll be in the larger email that I send out tomorrow. But you can send me an email and check in. And yeah, if I have any ideas of if there's similar projects going on, I can let you know. I could also check with our different departments, like the Drinking Water and Watershed Protection Program or our Parks Department. I can check in with them to see if there's any similar projects.
Okay.
And of course, if there is anybody under this program doing a project, I would know that already, but I can always check with other departments as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the other piece is the way we plan to sort of do our monthly check-ins is we will include a roundtable where we'll go around and talk to people about their project ideas and what they're working on. So Taylor and I will be at those meetings, or a representative And so we can let you know what projects we know about, but sometimes people in the community are all, that's again, one of the purposes of this is you may actually like be saying, oh, well, Nanaimo Climate Action Hub is doing something similar. And whether that means you abandon your project or maybe it's that, oh, maybe we can work together. So that's kind of what we're looking for is to try and break down those silos of all the different cool volunteer projects that are going on in the community and make those connections. But yeah, also obviously, like Taylor said, you can connect with her or me, depending on where the project is and who you can get a hold of. So, yeah.
And if you do register for the program, which I highly encourage everyone to register, even if you don't continue with with this program, or if your project doesn't come to fruition, I still encourage you register, because then we will be able to send you to the invite for the kickoff meeting that's happening on March 23rd. And at the kickoff meeting, that can be like a project planning session for everybody, where everybody can connect and bounce your ideas off of each other and see at that meeting if you're doing, if somebody else is doing something similar, or if you wanted to join up together to make a project happen. We can do some planning at that upcoming meeting. And that will be the next meeting we do have at this point. For the next month or so, we're just going to let people register. And then the next gathering would be at the kickoff meeting. And then after the kickoff meeting is when we'll start hosting our virtual monthly check-ins and whatnot until summer. Yeah. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Like it? Well, we encourage you, if anything comes up in the next month or so before the kickoff meeting, give us a phone call or email. We'll be happy to answer. And we can even book another like smaller virtual meeting if on demand, if you do want to, have a face-to-face conversation before the 23rd. But if not, like I said, I highly recommend you go on our Get Involved page and register, and then we'll send you the invite for the 23rd. And until then, I'll send you an email tomorrow morning with all the resources we talked about tonight.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Really
thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Teresa and Shelley. That was great.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Thanks so much, both of you, David and Taylor. It was awesome.
Thanks. Okay.
Good start.
And a good weekend. Oh, thanks.
Good start.
Okay. Well, we hope to see you
Looking forward.
soon.
Yeah. Kate, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.